going on, guys? Welcome back to Shop Toys. This was an older project I just found in a bucket. I forgot I had ever started it. It's kind of a hack job. I lowered it. I used some Nylint tires and wheels, or hubcaps, and it was pretty wobbly. I didn't drill the holes out evenly. Back when I was doing these, I didn't have a drill press, so I was using the hand drill, and things never came out quite even. And this cab's pretty bent up, but yeah. So we're going to fix that out a little bit, clean this thing up, and see how it looks. Alright, so I'm not sure what this truck used to be. It is a dually frame, and it's got a place for the saddle fuel tanks and the fifth wheel. It's a 64, 65, I can't remember. I think it's 65. They call it the Chevy style cab. The body lines didn't really reflect that, but the roof did. I had a full wraparound window, which this one is in good shape. And he's got the Chevy overhang on the front and back, and it's got the big back window style. This one I didn't have a grill for, and this is a 62 to 64 grill, and it does fit, and it looks kind of cool on there, so I've been rolling with that. This one's in good shape. It's straight. It's got some tarnish and stuff on it that needs to be cleaned out a little bit, but I'm not too worried about that today because of the condition of the body of the truck. It's got a good patina to it, so we're just gonna rock it like it is, but we got to get it apart and start straightening out this frame and some of the body. So let's do that in high speed here. I'll try to not do it so fast so you can actually see what I'm doing. I'll show you first. The body mounts in 3 spots to the chassis. You have 2 tabs on the front that stick through and fold over, and then on the bottom in the back you have 1 tab. Some of them came folded over, some of them didn't. This one doesn't look to be ever folded over, but it does have a little bump in it, so you've kind of push it to pop it through. And this one will come right off once I fold this front tab out. Let's just go ahead and do that. I've got that one folded out already. This one was giving me a little trouble because the body is bent. You'll see a lot of times that they'll be broken right here. The actual cab will crack from stress, because what did every little kid hold this by when they're rolling it on the floor? The cab. So you roll it into something, boom, starts tearing the front. Eventually it'll give, but these things were super tough to be as old as they are and in this good a condition still. So I'm going to cheat a little bit here and use some side cutters and just give it a little bend. Now I can straighten it out with some needle nose. If everything's nice and square in the front, you can usually fold them out with a flathead screwdriver, but being the shape this one's in, it's a little worse for wear. So I've got those both pretty straight. Now we'll just push down on this and wiggle it all apart. And there we have it. So you can see here that the where I modified the frame. I don't know why I got folded in like that, but also the front tabs are all bowed around and everything. So we're going to do some work on that. I'm also going to lower it a bit more and try to smooth out the wobble. Another problem with these frames, if you look down this way, it's got a little bit of tweak. It's just like a square body Chevy. It gets tweaked to one side a little bit. I don't know why the pickup cabs don't do that. It's usually just the semi-trucks cabs, I guess because they don't have the bed helping hold it together on the back. Now these are Nylint wheels and tires, and these are not the Ford center caps. These are just a generic one after I guess their licensing deal with Ford came apart. But those geniuses at Nylint, all the other brands, you had to put an axle through the wheel and put some kind of lock nut or burr the edge with a washer. Nylint, they just thread into the plastic. Their axles have a burred end, not really a bird, but it's got lips on it, and it just slides into the plastic tire, nice and snug. As you can see, it's starting to come off a little bit, getting a little bit of play. And usually one side will give and the other side will just stay on. And you can still cut these down and just shove them back in. That's how I've narrowed it a little bit as well. I believe this one's trimmed. And it's not unscrewing, but it just helps to wiggle it. I don't want to wiggle it too much side to side. Like you can see, that one had a crack in it, but it's still holding strong. So there you have it. We pulled that side out a little bit, but it makes it so easy when you go to put it back together. You just stick it through, put your other wheel on, and just push them together. Nice and easy. So let's start on the frame. Alright, so we'll just start in the front here. I've got these needle nose at a weird angle. It helps with some of these. I've had those forever, and they are handy. But right here in the front, first thing we got to do, you could take a hammer to this, but it's so small, you'd have to have all kinds of specialty tools, and I like to just do it with what I got. We'll just bend it gently, work our way back, straighten that out, trying to get the angle right on the side. It's already a lot better. You can see where the original tire, the top of it wore onto the chassis, wore the paint down. There we go. I'll get that lip back in. It's a little bit better. With this, it gives you a little bit of reach. You can stick down into stuff. But being the way it is, it doesn't squeeze as tight on the end as it does kind of in the middle. So it has its purpose. That's probably not the best spot to use it, but you can do it this way, like that front lip there is bowed out. We can work that in a little bit. You don't want to get too wild with your movements because it will eventually crack in the crease. So that's how I did that. The back looks good. Let's go ahead and straighten this out here. The trailer hitch. We'll go ahead and fold the tab back in. Get as much of the needle nose on there so it has nowhere to go but perfectly straight. It's better. Get a little pull. That looks pretty dang good. So we'll do this side now. Hopefully it won't take too much. Then I'm going to go ahead and drill the holes different. I'm just going to have to wallow them out because obviously I can't go in a different location or it won't line up with the tire well on the truck. So if you notice, the front was a little off, like this side's further back, and the back, one side is a little higher. So I'm going to go ahead and take them all the way down to the flat part of the frame. That way the axle sets on the frame and it can't wobble. It's going to be as flat as it'll go. And then the truck will be as low as it can go without doing further chopping and redoing. Straighten out our tab. I've honestly never really taken a hammer to one of these. I had the first one I bought that I made the junkyard truck. It had a pretty good dent on the hood, and I hammered that out, but the hammer's a little too violent for this. It is thick and tough, but it is not quite thick enough to do that with. Got a little bit of a bow there in the back. That looks pretty good. So let's take it to the drill press and start looking at the holes. Alright, so ideally I would have done that right the first time and I wouldn't have to take those steps that I just did, but we're already here and we got to do what we got to do. So got them oblong a little bit, but I think I've got them lined up better. I've got the front a little bit lower. I didn't go quite as far in the back, but I think I got them a lot more even. This side was a lot higher, maybe almost 2 millimeter. So the next step before we put all this together, I'm going to clean it really good because it's filthy. I don't guess I ever really cleaned this one up. And I have a process for that, but I'm going to do that in a separate video because, you know, I want to show you builds and then I want to show you processes. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing cleaned up and we'll come back. Alright, so I cleaned it up a little bit. This one's pretty worse for the wear. It's still a little damp. If I was going to really do something with this, I would go ahead and sandblast it and paint it. But I got one good crease right here. I'm going to try to knock that out real quick. We'll see how it goes. It's hard because it's right on that body line. So I've got to be very careful. I wish I had some hammer and dolly for body work. I borrowed some, fixed some dents on my old car. that I had to give them back. So let's see what we can do with that. Alright guys, that actually worked pretty well. You can see where it was. There's still a little bit where it cut into the metal. I had one little bulge pop out, but got it back down good enough. So yeah, a little improvement. That was really the only serious dent on this truck. Everything else is just pitting and rust. So let's go ahead and get it back together. Alright, so first I'm going to go ahead and put the tires back on. Not sure what that is that spilled on this thing. I dripped in it over the years, but it's some kind of oil, but it ain't coming off. So these tires and wheels are pretty clean. I'm not going to bother cleaning them. You could use some light bleach or like a Tide pen or something to try to bring the white back out, but you know, it goes with the look of the truck. Doesn't matter which side you start on. For the inside duals, even this is how they came from the factory. They never had a white wall insert. It's just the same wheel or same tire and nothing on the outside. Now I do have different sizes here. So the skinnies, the little ones are going to be up front. It's going to give us more of a raked look. So we'll just squeeze it together. Boom. Looks good. You have to put the front tires on once you lower it, before you put the body on, or you'll never get them in. I've done that a couple times. Shot myself in the foot. So we've got it where it'll set a lot more parallel here with the cutout on the frame. I don't have any idea for the bed for this. I'm not sure what I want to do. Boom. So you can get these too tight on there where they won't spin. And you just pull on them a little bit. Give them a little more space. And if you need them to fit closer to the tire well, then you can just throw a washers or aluminum spacer or something in there. And it's still not spinning. That'll keep them away. Some of these nylon tires have a longer stem on the back, and you don't have to worry about that. I think these I had to cut it off because it wouldn't tuck under the body. So they're not wanting to roll straight. You need to give them a little more of a wiggle. Put them a little further apart. Alright. So, next step is putting the body on. See how low that is? Those running boards are just barely off the ground. It's perfect. So, you kind of set it in the back here. Line up your tab. Then you come around the front. And they just fall into place. So, I'm not sure I'm going to keep this thing together. I may take it apart or make a bed. May sandblast it and completely redo it. So I'm just going to fold the front tabs. I'm not going to do anything to the rear tab. And whichever way you want to fold them, it will fit under the bumper. Oh, I forgot one big step. We got to straighten out that front lip of the body. How did I forget about that? See where it's bent a little bit here? So, let me get that in there. See what we can use here to straighten those out just a little bit. It'll help the grill set flatter in the end anyway. The bumper will seat easier to it. You just want to knock those little dents down. You gotta be very careful up here because this is fragile. As fragile as 60, 70-year-old steel can be. Give it a good push. Chunks of paint coming off. That's good. Now this does have a lip like this all the way around the front, and it is kind of distorted here, but I don't think I have the right tooling to really fix that. We'll just pry these lip back a little bit. There, kind of popped it back out. Get that. I still got one good little hump right here. So you don't want to grab right on the crooked part. You want to grab ahead of it and behind it, and just kind of force it all flat. And see, it pulled it back out, but give it a little twist. Nice. Almost level all the way across. So that's good enough because you won't see any of that with the grill. Go back and put this on now. Line up our tabs. Pop until the back snap into place. Now we'll fold these over. I like to fold it in on the inside. Depending on the different models have a different front end on the frame, so you can't necessarily put this 50s cab on this 65 frame. The location of everything in the front is slightly different. The width is the same, but as far as like this curved part. The older ones don't have that. The square body pickups have more metal in the front. The round body pickups have less metal with the tab sticking out further. So it can be modified to work, but yeah. Alright, so I got those folded. Now I'm just going to give them a squeeze, and we'll check. The body rattles just a little bit, which I think is alright. Alright, for this next part, I'll put the grill on. I brought the camera down a little bit so we can see the look of the stance. Thing looks sweet. I like it. I don't have a clue for the bed or anything yet, but it's cool. That's part of the reason why I love rat rods and stuff, because you're taking something that looks old, or is old, and beat up and dinged, and you're kind of polishing the turd. That's kind of cool. Like, this looks like heck, but everything's straightened out. That front lip across the front of the body is pretty dang straight for one of these, and you know, it's custom stance, and it looks right. I like it. So these grills, like I said, this is a 65. They have a single headlight, and the grill angles out. This is a 64, and has 4 headlights, and it's square, but it still fits in the opening of the body and hides all of that. Let's see, I'm going to have to get me some rivets. Now it won't pop into place and stay like it did because we straightened out the front. Now I'm just going to use pop rivets right now because they're easy, and you know, when I go back and want to do more to this, I can just drill them right out and don't have to worry about that. Pretty much though, where the spacing between the rivets is the same on all the trucks. So if I come up with some kind of custom grill, or I wanted to do something different, I could use a single individual bumper off of an older truck, or you know, they're slight things that are still the same through all the year models, at least through the 50s to the early 60s. So I'm going to grab the rivet gun. Alright, so I'm using, where are these? They're 1/8 3mm long. Just standard old pop rivets. If I was going to leave it like this, I would go ahead and put a washer on the back. But like I said, I do plan on doing more to this truck. So this will give us plenty of hold for now. I can get this thing to open and play nice. It's funny, I changed jobs at work, and now I'm using a fancy rivet gun every day. Never used that kind of stuff at work. Alright, got it on there. Let's make sure it's in all the way. We'll hold it together. Oh, came apart. It's the first time I've ever done this with a camera. Alright, so I'm holding the bumper to the front of the cab. So, that's how I used to do it. See, the grill looks pretty good on there. I like the way that grill actually looks on there better than the original one. The original one looks kind of like a Dodge grill, and they always called these Chevy cabs. And yeah. Now the later Tonka trucks, later than this cab style, they are pretty much a Dodge cab. And those, not necessarily the best looking Tonka truck, but I'll tell you, those things are heavy. They made that cab through the late 60s and I think better part of the 70s. And they are solid, solid trucks. You drop one of them on your toe as a kid, you got to go to the hospital. But yeah. That's it for my little rat rod dually no bed truck. I was thinking about doing a flatbed originally. I've got all this wood here, and I started cutting the wood for a flatbed. I just wasn't sure what to do for on top of it. I just didn't want to have a flat piece. I may have to look through eBay and see what I can find, because you see a lot of custom Tonka trucks. People swap out different beds. Buddy L, Nylent, they all made different styles, different versions of the same thing. And you can find some cool beds, like different utility beds or tow truck beds, stuff like that. So I don't know what we're going to make out of it yet, but I'm happy with what we've done. We've cleaned it up a lot. We've got it rolling a lot better, setting a lot lower, and overall just a lot cooler. So appreciate you guys sticking through and watching the video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And be sure to check out my other channel if you're into RC cars. It's RC every day. And see y'all in the next video.